All right, hey guys, welcome to another episode of our wrestling show. In fact, we're no longer called Smart Mania. We're changing our name to the Wrestling Show. Is MMM. We're changing that because I'm going to start doing some other stuff on our YouTube channel. I want to do some like movie reviews and music reviews and start streaming some video games. And I want everything to be under the network thing, so we're going to change that. So yeah, welcome to our wrestling show.
Hi guys.
Again, I'm your host. I'm Mikey, and this is my lovely co-host.
I'm Andrea.
Excellent. So let's get into the news here in the beginning. I know Andrea's got to get going here pretty quick, so we're going to get into the news. Once the news is over, she's going to jump out, and then the rest of the show is going to be just me. So let's get into it. And so here is the news.
So starting at Backlash in May, all pay-per-views will now be co-branded. No more single-branded pay-per-views for Raw or SmackDown. Pay-per-views will be once per month the rest of the year. Backlash May 6th, Money in the Bank June 17th, Extreme Rules July 15th, SummerSlam August 19th, Hell in a Cell September 16th, TLC October 21st, Survivor Series November 18th, Clash of Champions December 16th. Also, Jeff Jarrett will be inducted into WWE Hall of Fame.
Excellent. Before we get to that, so for what's going on there with the whole pay-per-view thing, so right now they've been doing single-branded pay-per-views where, like the Raw roster has their own pay-per-view, and then the SmackDown Live roster has their own pay-per-view. But some of the pay-per-views have not been getting as good ratings. And in the past, they've just had dual-branded pay-per-views where both rosters like share the pay-per-view, and that also gives you the opportunity that maybe somebody from Raw and somebody from SmackDown, that because they're on the different shows at the pay-per-view, they maybe have a chance to fight against each other for some reason at the pay-per-view. So I think they're going to try to bring ratings back up with pay-per-views and not have as many. They're cutting out quite a few pay-per-views that would have happened throughout the year. So I think it kind of makes it feel a bit more special too, instead of getting a pay-per-view every 2 or 3 weeks when you're only having a pay-per-view once a month. It kind of makes it feel a little bit more special that you're getting a pay-per-view event. So I think it's actually a good thing for them to be making that switch. And
I agree.
yeah. So that was that. And then I know you got a little bit more to add on with Jeff Jarrett getting into the Hall of Fame.
All right, congrats, Jeff Jarrett.
Yes, congratulations, Jeff Jarrett.
So Jeff Jarrett was born July 14th, 1967 in Hendersonville, Tennessee. He is a third-generation wrestler, his dad being Jerry Jarrett, and he began as a referee for his dad's, I guess he started the Continental Wrestling Association, so he started out by refereeing for that, and then he began shortly after that, of course, wrestling. And that was all in, where was that? I think it was like 1986.
Okay.
I wrote it down somewhere. I can't see where I wrote anything down anymore.
It's not that important. We know that he wrestled for there, so that's good.
So in the late 80s, he wrestled with the American Wrestling Association, and in 92 with World Wrestling Federation. First televised performance was in 93. He also joined the World Championship Wrestling. He created Total Nonstop Association Wrestling in 2002 with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
His gimmick was being a country singer.
Yeah.
using wrestling as a way to expose himself as a singer. Um, and of course, he spelled out his name whenever he did like a promo or interview. He His finishing moves were the acoustic equalizer, the figure four, the grand old Opry, and the stroke.
Yeah. Yeah. So congratulations to Jeff Jarrett. What I've heard from you, and then I've been like kind of looking into it myself throughout the week. This is the most I've ever known about Jeff Jarrett.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually for me, I'm surprised Jeff Jarrett's getting into the Hall of Fame. It was a surprise for me. When I was watching wrestling, I remember as a kid, I can remember him, but I don't really. He wasn't like a standout guy for me. He wasn't one of the guys that I wanted to watch most. But he did do a lot for wrestling, especially, in his career promoting wrestling and everything. And I remember the character distinctly. I remember Jeff Jarrett. I especially remember when, I was later in the 90s when he had his whole gimmick. He cut his hair short and he started getting, his whole attitude was always kind of he was always a heel. And, he was using music. He was using wrestling to try to start a country music career was his story.
Mm-hmm.
And but I more remember the late 90s when I was watching more often, and he would come down to the ring with, I think Deborah was his valet, and he'd always be holding this acoustic guitar, and it said "Don't Piss Me Off" on it, and he'd always be smashing people with his acoustic guitar. So I remember his whole gimmick, but I can't nothing really storyline wise stands out to me from him. But I mean, he was a good performer. He did a lot for wrestling. I've heard a lot of people also saying that they were really surprised that this guy was getting in, and a lot of people were kind of crapping on him getting in. I don't want to do that because obviously he's gotten really far in his career. He's doing something that a lot of other people didn't do. So if the WWE feels like he deserved to get in, then he deserved to get in.
Yeah.
Just because I can't remember storylines that he was in doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve it. The only things that I really, like I said, I know and remember is that he wanted to be a country music singer. He had a thing once, and I really only remember it because of Road Dogg, who at the time when he was with Jeff Jarrett, I think was called The Roadie or something like that. But Jeff Jarrett released this music video, and then it turned out, and he did, or maybe it was he did some sort of live performance or whatever. But then the storyline came out that his roadie, the guy that ended up staying in WWE and became a started. He was in the group DX, but it turned out he was the one actually singing, and Jeff Jarrett was lip syncing. Kind of thing. That was the story. But other than that, yeah, I don't really remember much. But I mean, I do remember as a kid, I liked watching him. So he must have had something going. He was a big draw, and he did have a wrestling company. I've read a bunch of other superstars like AJ Styles and Bobby Roode and other people that he's helped get their career started. When with his wrestling promotion that he has. So maybe that's why he's getting in, because he's done a lot for wrestling in general. So good on him. Again, congratulations, Jeff Jarrett. Thank you, Andrea, for joining me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it from here. I know you got to get going, so I'll take over. Thank you for joining us again.
Bye.
And I'll see you later.
See ya. 10.
I'll take care of that. Pen for you. Alright, you guys, excuse me just 1 second here while I get resituated. Alright. Now that we got that news over, let's get into some of the actual wrestling that we watched this week. Andrea watched everything with me this week except for 205 Live. She watched NXT with me, Raw and SmackDown. I know she really enjoyed it, so I'll kind of let you know what she said at the time when we watched those together. But let's just get into our first review here. And the first review will be NXT. We'll talk about what we saw in NXT this week. This week was a big week for NXT. It was a great show again. I mean, I'm glad I got back into wrestling. I'm glad I started diving deep and starting watching as much as I can. I'm glad I got into NXT because NXT is a great show. And so on this week on NXT, we opened up with Velveteen Dream versus No Way Jose. Great match. I love Velveteen Dream. He's an exciting guy to watch. Love his whole persona that he's got going. He's got kind of the total package here. I mean, I know he's still young, but I think he's going to be on the fast track to get to the main roster and be a big thing eventually. I mean, he's got the persona, he's got the moves. I think he's just got it all. So I'm expecting big things from him. Anyways, Velveteen Dream got the win here in this match. And then we had a promo from William Regal. He announced the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which will be starting in 2 weeks. The winner gets the Dusty Cup and a title shot at the next TakeOver event, which will be TakeOver New Orleans. And then after that, we had a match between Vanessa Bourne versus Nikki Cross. This was a really good match to me. Both of these girls were really good. Nikki Cross, again, I'm just getting into NXT. Nikki Cross, part of Sanity. I like her whole persona that she's got going on, that she's like this crazy girl. She's super aggressive. Even Vanessa Bourne, I love some moves. Like, she was strong. She was like doing big, powerful moves. She did big slams. Nikki Cross did the same. This was a really great match as well. Nikki Cross seems like she's a big fan favorite in NXT. Everybody was cheering for her. So that was a fun one to watch. Nikki Cross ended up getting the win in that. And then the next match we had after this was the big match everybody's been waiting for. Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. Andrade Cien Almas is putting the NXT title on the line. Johnny Gargano is putting his NXT career on the line. Great match. I think this match was like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Action-packed the whole time. A lot of big moves. I believe they told the story well with, they did a good job of really telling the story in the ring of, Cien Almas going after Gargano's left arm and trying to injure it. That way, later on, when Gargano got Almas in his finishing submission move, you can say that his arm was hurt, that he couldn't fully get it in to get Cien Almas to tap there. And then, of course, the ref was also already knocked out, and then we get the Tommaso Ciampa came in, interfered, hit Gargano with that his cane or whatever, his crutches. Ref gets back up. Cien Almas puts his move on, finishing move on Gargano, gets the pin. Boom, Gargano's gone. NXT career over. I couldn't believe it. It was an exciting match. I love this kind of thing because it's not what I expected. I expected Gargano, this was his 4th chance to win. He's finally, he's like I didn't think his NXT career was going to be over. So I figured, boom, he'd win. He'd finally get the win there. But that's not the way it played out. That's why I love wrestling, because just when you think you know what's going to happen, that's not what happens. Um, you know, fans cheering, thanking Gargano for all the great performances. I don't know what that means is going to happen next for Gargano. You guys should comment, you know, in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio version on the podcast. Head over to YouTube and leave comments, um, or leave a review as well, and leave a comment in there. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think is going to happen next for him. I have no idea. Obviously, WWE loves him, so WWE's not getting rid of him. I think any sort of thing could happen where maybe I don't know, because he's a smaller guy, so I don't know if he's really going to be called up and be part of the Raw main roster. I could see it being something where maybe he get because they're already in the middle of the 205 Live tournament, for the cruiserweight title that's going to happen at WrestleMania. So maybe they keep. Obviously, Gargano's not going to be having any matches between now and then, until WrestleMania, because technically his NXT career is officially over. Maybe they do some sort of match where Almas and Zelina Vega will allow him to come back to have one final match, a grudge match, to get back at Tommaso Ciampa, for interfering there. Maybe they agree to that so that he can be at the NXT takeover in New Orleans and also be around for WrestleMania. And maybe that's when they announce, something would happen after or during the time that the cruiserweight title match is going on. Then maybe after that match, they let everybody know, Johnny Gargano is going to join 205 Live as well as now. He's going to join now as well to 205 Live, and maybe he's going to compete for that title. I'd like to see him on a main roster, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, but just, noticing that a lot of smaller guys, obviously they started a whole different division and show with 205 Live for smaller guys, so I don't know if they will put him on the main roster as a main guy, but we'll see. I mean, he was really fun to watch, all the matches I've seen him in so far. So that was exciting. Great show for NXT. That was fun to watch. Let's go ahead now. Let's talk about 205 Live that I watched this week. Again, 205 Live. We're still having the tournament, the 16-man elimination tournament to get to the title. Title shot at WrestleMania. 205 Live started out this week with Arya Daivari versus Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy new to 205 Live. Buddy Murphy does not look like he is 205 or under, but I really love the stories. They're running plenty of promos for him, showing him stepping on the scale and just barely making 205. I think one of the promos that they cut for him, he weighed in at like 204 pounds, 4 ounces, and then the other one he, weighed in at like 200 pounds and something ounces. But, just barely keeping him under the weight limit of 205 pounds that you have to be for this division. So they're doing a really good job of that. I believe he had a great first match in 205 Live, and he also got the win. The match is moving on in the tournament, but more about the match overall. Because he is a bigger guy, he's definitely bigger than all the rest of the guys. The other guys, you can tell, are not close to 205. They're actually under 205 pounds. And, so he definitely looks bigger and has more power than the rest of the guys, but can still, he still has that athleticism to keep up with those guys with all the acrobatic and athletic moves. So it was really fun to see him in there and doing that. And I'll be excited to watching him going forward on 205 Live. After that, let's see here. We just had a promo that showed the quarterfinals bracket and everything that's going on. We had TJP and Cedric Alexander kind of have some words with each other since they're going to be facing against each other in the quarterfinals. Um, I like both of these guys. I'm surprised the way that they set this match up, that they have these two facing against each other so early in the quarterfinals and not maybe saving that kind of for the semifinals, because I really like both of these guys' performances. I expect that, I would expect for um, Cedric Alexander to win that match, but like I said, I've been surprised a lot lately by wrestling, and I'm loving that they're doing that to me. So I'll be surprised. I'll just wait for the surprise next week. Next up, we had a tag match. So this is the first time in a couple of weeks that we had a match that wasn't a part of the 16-man elimination tournament match. And this was a tag team match, actually, between Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado versus Evan Daniels and some Rivera. A couple of jobbers, it seemed like. The luchadors, they come out, they're having a good time partying. This is another great match. This was just another match showing why 205 Live is really good and really fun, and why you should be watching it. Great performances, a lot of high-flying moves, a lot of good wrestling. Because I've only been watching wrestling the past year and really deep dive into the other shows that, besides the main Raw and SmackDown show. I've only been into NXT and SmackDown now for the last couple of months. I know 205 Live was doing a lot more gimmicky stuff, but all these guys on 205 Live roster are really showing that they have really great wrestling skills. So I'm glad to see that the change that they're making to 205 Live, because this match again was really great. Got to see a lot of good high flying moves, which is what I want to see from these guys. Then after that, we had another elimination match, and this time it was between gentleman Jack Gallagher and Mustafa Ali. Now, going into this match, Mustafa Ali, I kind of felt like because he's been doing quite a few promos lately, so I kind of thought, oh, this guy is going to be a guy that wins. But again, WWE did a good job of surprising me, because Jack Gallagher did a lot during this match to make me think like, oh, maybe Jack Gallagher is actually going to win this match. Mustafa Ali did end up winning this match, and it was overall a good match. With the way they did things, all the submissions and everything, and Mustafa Ali, he ended up like getting a bloody mouth, and there was a few times where it just looked like he wasn't gonna be able to pull it off. And I don't know much about these wrestlers, except for I've seen a lot more of Jack Gallagher in the past than I have from Mustafa Ali. So I thought maybe just because from star power alone, maybe Jack Gallagher would be the one moving on. And I only thought this during the match, but it was really good performing by everybody to make that not the case with Mustafa Ali moving on. I kind of feel bad for these guys, though. Because 205 Live is shooting after SmackDown. A lot of people have already left. It was just kind of sad to see, and you could hear fans chanting chants of other wrestlers, from other shows, or just chanting things that were not related to what was going on in the match. And it does kind of take away. You can feel it. You can tell while you're watching the match, like the crowd isn't isn't as loud or into it because there's not as many people in the crowd, which is too bad right now because, like I said, 205 Live is getting really good now. Um, so I wish they had the crowd there to really back them up and, you know, make it feel like it was more exciting. To me, just watching with my eyes, I can tell, like, wow, these guys are putting on a good performance and it's really exciting. But when you don't hear any crowd noise at all, it kind of takes away from it. Like if you ever watch something on YouTube, like from a sitcom from like Friends that has like a laugh track in it or something, and they play scenes, and then they edit the laugh track out. It's not as funny because like you don't. It just feels weird and awkward to not have a laugh track there because people are standing around waiting for giving that track time to have a laugh. Wrestling is the same way. They do moves and then like they're waiting for you know there's time between moves for fans to react and cheer and stuff. But the 205 Live, the way they shoot it right now, you're not getting that reaction. So it's really too bad for these wrestlers. I hope people start catching on to the fact that 205 Live is getting really good and people stick around for the taping of 205 Live so we can get some better crowd reactions because these guys really deserve it. Okay, well, that was 205 Live, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the two main shows this week. First, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about Monday Night Raw. Wow, Raw was great this week. Andrea watched it with me. I know she really liked it. For her, she's new to wrestling, and I heard a few people complain about Raw this week. It was very, very few people that complained about this show this week. And to those people, I don't know if they're really wrestling fans, because the way we opened up Raw this week was Roman Reigns. He actually starts the show. He's cutting a promo, saying that he's the one that can beat Brock Lesnar. Then we start a 7-man gauntlet match between everybody that's going to be in the Elimination Chamber on Sunday. And man, this match was so good. It lasted like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours long, somewhere in that range. I know that. Some people, very few people, complained that it was too much wrestling. If you're really a big fan of wrestling, I don't know why you're complaining that there was a lot of actual in-the-ring wrestling. I heard some people, on different podcasts, not very many again, and then read a few fans complain again, not very many, but some people complain that like, oh, they want the entertainment side, they want more of that. The more of the promos and entertaining. And to me, the in-ring wrestling performances, those are the entertaining. That is the entertaining thing, is the wrestling that they do in the ring. And if you're paying attention, that is a story. They're telling a story inside the ring. So I really loved it. So let's get into the match and what actually happened during this match. We started out with Roman Reigns. He's already in the ring. Seth Rollins coming down. He's going to be in the match. I mean, and these two wrestlers right here, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, their match itself between the two of them was somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. And they were going hard, like not a lot of rest, like you see a lot in the WWE style wrestling where there's a lot of breaks. They were going at it hard, a lot of big moves. Surprisingly, Seth Rollins got the win here. He said on the last week's show that he wants to be, he wants Monday Night Raw to be Monday Night Rollins. He wants to be the main guy again, and he showed it in this first match against Roman Reigns. He gets the win there. Boom. Next thing up, John Cena comes out, and Seth Rollins has already been in a long match. So you're thinking, oh man, Seth Rollins is tired. John Cena's going to be coming out here. He's gonna, just overpower the overexhausted Seth Rollins, John Cena. But he gets out there, and man, he's he he can't put Seth Rollins away. Seth Rollins is fighting back. They're still going strong. Um, I'm thinking like, oh man, Seth Rollins has got to get out of here. He's got to get a rest. Um, John Cena, he's got to get a win so he can get over for the fact that he's going to be in the Elimination Chamber. But man, he doesn't. Seth Rollins, he gets the win again, and that was pretty exciting as well. You're like, wow, I can't believe Seth Rollins is still going. At this point, he's been going for like, I don't know, like close to an hour now by this point, maybe a little bit over at this point already. I couldn't believe how long this match went on. Again, this was another great thing where, you know, I love being surprised, and it was another thing that just surprised me, keeping the theme going along of being surprised. It was really good. So next up after that, um, Elias comes in. In fact, before I get to that as well, I really like the way they cut the promos for this show too, with the losers of the match going backstage, getting interviewed by Renee Young while the gauntlet match itself was still going on. Um, and it felt, because it made it feel real. It wasn't like really a hokey interviews like they were going to the losers right away, where they're still like, so, like John Cena was like panting hard and like sweating and talking about how like, oh, I've been really, you know everybody knows I have a busy schedule. Maybe I wasn't ready for this one, but I know I got to get to WrestleMania, so I really got to win the Elimination Chamber match. Da 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 da, whatever. But anyways, just the point overall is I love the way they cut these promos. Like, it would be like something you saw in a real sports, like a football or baseball interview. Like you go into the loser, like, back to the locker room as soon as you get a chance, or you're running to them on the field to ask them, the winner, like, oh, how does it feel like you just won, or how does it feel like you just lost? So I kind of like the way they did that. I don't know how often they'll do that or how they'll be able to work that in, but I liked what I saw there. So hopefully they'll work that in some more. Okay, let's get what happened actually in the match between Seth Rollins and Elias. At this point, Seth Rollins, the match, Seth Rollins was in for like, I don't know how long he was. He was definitely in over an hour. So by the time Elias gets in there, Seth Rollins is obviously tired. So Elias, he's able to get the win. Then what happened? So Finn Balor came out next. A big fan of Finn Balor. And then we have a promo with Rollins with Renee in the back, and he's talking about how he's happy with his 2 pins, but he wants to win the chamber because he really wants, again, he's trying to get back to being that top level guy where it's going to be Monday Night Rollins, where he wants to headline, be the main event at WrestleMania. Again, it looks good. It looks real. It looks good just because it's happening like so soon right after a match, and it's not, it doesn't seem anyway like to be super scripted. It just seemed that much more realistic for them to do it that way. So between Finn Balor and The Miz, again, another great match between these two guys. That's what I liked about this gauntlet overall. Everybody had a time to shine. But I'll get to that again later. So anyways, Finn Balor, he ended up getting the pin over Elias. So then The Miz comes out. The Miz, Finn Balor go at it. The Miztourage got involved, and that helped The Miz get the pin over Finn Balor. But of course, the Miztourage, they're not really going to be able to. Maybe they will be able to interfere during the chamber match, but it won't be as easy for them. They won't be able to get in there as directly. So it'll be harder for the Miz to pull off something like that come an Elimination Chamber. But I really like this whole promo too. So first, we get the Miz. He gets that pin over Finn Balor, and he's like super excited. And then it sets into him, just a little bit after he's got the win, it starts to set in his mind like, oh yeah, I got the pin over Finn Balor, but the only person left to come out is Braun Strowman. And so he starts looking really worried. He's really scared. He's going to have to fight Braun Strowman. Then boom, music hits. Braun Strowman comes out. The Miz, he gets out of the ring. He tries to run. Braun chases him down, smacks him in the back, knocks him down, drags him back to the ring. And then they have a good match in the ring themselves. Again, we had a little promo with Finn Balor, and he reiterated the fact that the Miztourage isn't going to be able to help the Miz come the Elimination Chamber, and he's going to get him back. And then, back into the ring. Braun Strowman really hit it good. Of course, overpowering the Miz. Even Miztourage is there. They can't do anything with Braun Strowman being country strong and all. Braun Strowman puts his hands to everybody. He gets the win over the Miz again. And even though they could have done something different because the match was technically over, I still like the way that they did the promo with Braun. It was just like everybody else's. And then he gets in there and he talks about how, what did he say? I wrote it down here. Braun, he's never been in an Elimination Chamber match, and he said, he doesn't fear the unknown, but the unknown fears him, kind of thing, and, just really solidifying the fact that he's a monster among men. So, again, so what I was going to say about this match overall was that this match was so good because every performer had a great moment to shine. Everybody looked good in this, but not a single one of them has, not a single one of them looked bad at all. They all looked really good. They all looked like they could legitimately win at an Elimination Chamber match. Now, I've never watched Elimination Chamber live. We've said that in the past, and before now, like before a month or two ago, I had never watched any of them, so I've been watching them to get caught up. I've almost watched all of them, gone in the past on the WWE Network, and I've watched, I think I've watched like 3/4 of them. I plan on watching them all. Maybe I'll do a little like ranking as a bonus episode at some point after I have watched them all, including this Elimination Chamber matches for this year, with this first 7-man Elimination Chamber and the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber. But just from the ones that I've seen on the network, I only honestly thought just about every single one. I don't know if there was any that I thought like, okay, yeah, I believe that anybody in this match could be the winner. Like it'd always be, oh yeah, there's like 2 or 3 guys that I think it's got to be these 2 or 3 guys that's going to win the match. Because the other guys, like I don't think they would have a chance of winning at all, kind of a thing. But with this year's Elimination Chamber match, the 7-man one, every single one of them, like I legitimately think they each could win the match and would, I could justify why each one should win the match and be the main event at WrestleMania, which like I said, I cannot think of any other one that I've watched so far. That I've watched, like 15 or 16 of them. I can't think of another one where I thought that were any of them that there was a great chance that any one of them would be the one that wins. Again, it was just two or three guys that I thought, okay, it's going to be this guy. Or there was a couple where, I watched it going into the match. Once I saw the competitors, I was like, okay, I think this is going to be the guy that wins. And there was a couple times where I was right. Like, that was the guy that won. Like, it wasn't a surprise to me. Like, with this Elimination Chamber coming up, any one of them that wins is going to be a surprise to me, even if it's Roman Reigns, who everybody's predicting because everybody thinks he's, on this fast track to get to WrestleMania, which, you can think that if you want, but because I think all of these guys deserve a legitimate shot. So I'm going to be really excited to watch this one. This was like half the show, at least, this match was. But let's get into what the rest of the show was. We had, after this match, we had the promo that told us that Jeff Jarrett would be joining the Hall of Fame. And then we had Asuka promo. She doesn't speak great English, but, she's got a lot of energy. There was a moment there where you could kind of tell where she was trying to remember the lines that she was supposed to say, because I'm sure she rehearsed them a lot since English is not her first language and that she's still learning to speak English. I'm sure they give her a script and have her practice it over and over and over so she can repeat it. There was a moment there where she kind of stumbled and couldn't remember exactly what it was. She got back on it though, and overall I thought it was still a good promo. And then Nia Jax came out and attacked, setting up their match. I still have no idea what's going to happen in that match either. That excites me that I don't know what's going to happen because I want Asuka to win this match. I want her to be going for whatever title that she's going for. They still haven't said whether it's the SmackDown title, the Raw title, whoever she decides to go against. I really, I want her to go into that undefeated. So the idea that I have no idea that it's a possibility that she could lose this is what makes it so exciting and makes another reason why I want to watch this match so much at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view between Asuka and Nia Jax. Okay, so after that we had a promo for Rowdy Ronda Rousey, just kind of showing how, they showed her doing a little weigh-in. They showed all her accomplishments that she did while competing in judo, competing at UFC and MMA. So yeah, we had all that. It'll be exciting to see what's going on. She's going to be signing her contract, and I'm sure something's going to play out at the event where she's signing her contract that's going to start some sort of feud between her and a lot of rumors going around that it's going to be Stephanie McMahon or whoever it is. It's going to be, they're going to have to get a storyline rolling for her to have a reason to be at the match in WrestleMania. We know she's going to have a match at WrestleMania, so they got to start telling us the story of why she's going to be at WrestleMania, who she's going to be wrestling, and why they're going to have a feud. And then next after that, we had the 6-man tag team match between it was Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Mickie James versus Alexa Bliss, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. One thing I'll say about this, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, they're part of Absolution. Paige still comes out with them. But I really like the way they did. Usually all three of them come out, they have their own costumes. But now they actually had an Absolution shirt. They were wearing, like Mandy Rose even was wearing all black. Normally she's got like her gold stuff on. Sonya Deville, all black. Like they actually looked like a legitimate team, like you would expect the team to be, in uniform. They had like a team uniform, which I thought made them look legit. So hopefully they keep that up. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, I think, are actually a really good tag team. So maybe they need to start like some sort of like a tag team, a women's tag team championship. They have so many tag team, like especially these 6-woman tag team matches. Um, I know they have a lot of women on the roster, and they don't give them as many spots as the men, so they try to shove as many women as they can in a match to give them spots. And a natural thing they could do is if they want to give more women a spot, start a tag team championship for the women. Give them a women's tag team title so that you have a legit reason why these women need to be in these like tag team matches all the time. Otherwise, I would like to see more of them in singles matches. But the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville with Paige being their valet, I think, or their manager would be a really good tag team or group that you could still go on since Paige can't wrestle anymore. But yeah, so during this match, I thought overall it was a good match. Again, told another good story. We had at Bayley, Sasha, and Mickey ended up getting the win here. Things obviously are gonna like be crazy. All these women are gonna be at the Elimination Chamber with each other on Sunday. So, fight breaks out, and then Mickey James and Alexa Bliss decide to team up. However, and so we'll see how that story plays out at Elimination Chamber, whether they end up helping each other, or it comes down to just them and how that plays out, or one of them betrays one another during the match. I don't know. Again, this Elimination Chamber, this first women's Elimination Chamber, it's another one I feel like is a really good one and exciting because I feel like Alexa Bliss will probably keep the championship, but I don't know. Any of these other women, I feel, well, not any of these other women. I'd say a good more than half of them, besides Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, because they're so new. I don't think they're going to hold the women's title, but the other 4, I think they all legitimately could be holding the title. So I'm excited to see this match as well. Again, they could surprise me again and have Alexa Bliss lose the title. But we'll see how it goes. That was our show for Raw. So let's get into SmackDown Live on what happened there this week. On SmackDown Live, we opened up with an AJ Styles promo. Baron Corbin comes out and interrupts. So it's Kevin Owens. Then Shane McMahon comes out and interrupts, and he decides to make a match between Corbin and Styles, and then also Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler. I'm going to move through this kind of fast because SmackDown this week compared to what we had on Raw was not that exciting. I wasn't that into this week's episode of SmackDown like I was Raw. So let's get into what happened. So Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler was next. We had that match there. It was a good match. Dolph Ziggler has come back. He says that he wants to be main eventing at WrestleMania type of thing. He shows in this match with Kevin Owens. They're both super good performers. So they put on good performance. It looks like Dolph Ziggler is maybe about to get the win. He gets distracted because Sami Zayn's music starts playing and he starts running out towards the ring. Boom. Kevin Owens takes advantage, gives him a crazy super kick to like the back side of Dolph Ziggler's head, knocks him out. Kevin Owens gets the pin. This plays into a whole thing later on. But next we had this dumb promo. We still got this top 10 superstar thing going on that I'm not a big fan of. We had Jinder Mahal come down. He's cutting a promo about Bobby Roode. he shows that Bobby Roode voted for himself on the superstar list and voted himself number one, nonetheless. So then Bobby Roode comes out, defends himself, says that Jinder Mahal is lying, that he didn't do that. Randy Orton comes out. Jinder Mahal is also making the point that Bobby Roode didn't even put Randy Orton on the list, so he's disrespecting Randy Orton, and Randy Orton should be mad about it. And I don't know why, but somehow that's causing them to fight. The three of them break out in a fight. And then what do we have? Okay, yeah, so what this led into was like Daniel Bryan's kind of has this dumb thing. They're still talking about the dumb top 10 list, but he's talking to Shane McMahon, and he didn't know it would be that controversial, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, they start kind of arguing. Again, Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon, they start arguing about who should get the shot at the United States Championship, Jinder Mahal or Randy Orton, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is just a big dream of mine. I'm hoping that this feud that's playing out between Shane McMahon is going to somehow mean that Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan have a feud and it turns into an in-ring feud and Daniel Bryan makes his return against Shane McMahon. But I don't know. I found out, I can't remember exactly when it is now, but I think Daniel Bryan's contract is officially up in September, and he does want to wrestle. Doctors have cleared him to wrestle. He says he will leave the WWE if they don't. WrestleMania is coming up pretty soon, so maybe this will all play out where Daniel Bryan makes his debut, his return debut at WrestleMania against Shane McMahon, or maybe they don't even have a match, but maybe they have some sort of thing. Maybe they don't have an official match, but they have some sort of thing that plays out where they're fighting each other and they're putting wrestling moves on each other in the ring for a moment as they argue about whoever, and then maybe they make the announcement at WrestleMania that, yes, doctors have cleared Daniel Bryan to return, and because you guys are having this feud and fighting, let's go ahead and maybe even if they don't have the match that night, at some point they at least make an announcement that Daniel Bryan's going to make his return back to wrestling, and it's going to be against Shane McMahon. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but hey, it could. It'd be another great surprise for me. But anyways, let's get on to the rest of the show. Just that idea exciting me is more exciting than the SmackDown episode overall this week. But let's get to the rest of the episode. We had Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Naomi versus the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad got the win. Ruby Riott got the pin over. I can't remember if it was Naomi or Becky Lynch, but anyway, she starts talking about how she gets one down, 2 more to go or whatever. She's making her way up to Charlotte Flair is the storyline that they're trying to play out here. And then we had Sami Zayn. We had a promo where Sami Zayn, he goes to Kevin Owens and tells Owens, hey, let's team up. I'm not mad at you. We've been kind of feuding lately, but I don't want to do that. Let's be friends. In fact, at Fastlane, at our, their Fatal 5-Way match, that they should team up with each other, and then Sami Zayn will lay down for Kevin Owens so that Kevin Owens can hold the title. To me, what an ideal way to be is, because I don't think AJ Styles is going to lose the title between now and WrestleMania, or if he does, I'm sure he'll get it back by then, because we all want to see Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. However, I think it could be really exciting to see if the way this plays out, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are teaming up a lot during the match, and then Sami Zayn lays down to let Kevin Owens pin him. But then Sami Zayn does something to try to, like, he does some sort of reverse or does something to not let Kevin Owens actually get the win, and Sami Zayn tries to get the pin on Kevin Owens himself to be the champion. I think that would be a great way to play it out and actually start like what would seem like a legit feud between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and start getting some great matches from them. So maybe that's what we'll see. I don't know. Maybe Sami Zayn really will lay down and let Kevin Owens win, but I'll be excited to see the actual surprise for that. Let's see what we had next. We had New Day versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. And this was also a match to earn a title match versus the Usos at Fastlane. New Day get the win here, so they earn a shot at the title at Fastlane versus the Usos. This is another one where I saw some people say like, "Oh, we've already seen this match a lot," and I'm thinking, man, yeah, I've seen this match a lot, but I would love to see it a lot more. Every time I've seen the Usos and New Day go against each other, the matches have been phenomenal. Last year, some of the best matches I watched all year were matches between the New Day and the Usos with the performances these teams put against each other. So I'm actually really excited to see this match. Yeah, you could have got something a little bit more fresh with Gable and Benjamin going against the Usos, but like it's going to be guaranteed for me that like almost a full guarantee that this match is probably going to be a good match. So I'm excited to see that one. Let's see here. Next up, we had the Bludgeon Brothers against another couple of jobbers. Bludgeon Brothers, of course, get the win, still showing their dominance. I'm sure they're going to start playing out because they've been having them going against these nobody jobbers for quite a while now. So I think they're gonna have to do something and get them against some like actual other tag teams in the WWE on the roster. So hopefully that will happen soon, and they'll start playing out a storyline. It's not obviously not going to be for Fastlane, but maybe you get some sort of thing where it's going to be a big match. I mean, maybe at WrestleMania you get Bludgeon Brothers, Usos, New Day, and Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin in some sort of like tornado tag match or something for the title. But because I would really like to see the Bludgeon Brothers, like going for that title and what they would look like against the New Day or look like going against the Usos, and I'd like to see that soon. So let's go on. Next we had these really clunky promos that we had between Charlotte Flair and Ruby Riott. Why I say these were clunky is because they showed Charlotte's promo first, and she's talking about how she's calling out Ruby Riott, and she's like, yeah, and I'm going to bring my title with me, challenging Ruby Riott to a match. But then they show Ruby Riott's promo after that, and then Ruby Riott's like, oh yeah, I pinned so-and-so. I can't remember if she pinned Naomi or Becky Lynch. Either way, she pinned one of them, and then she's talking about how she's going to pin the other one, and then she's coming for Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair should put her title on the line. And it's like, oh, I guess she didn't know that Charlotte Flair's promo was going to go first, or that she cut her promo, and that Charlotte Flair already said she's going to go against Ruby Riott and put her title on the line. So it just kind of seemed weird for Ruby Riott's, calling out Charlotte Flair, asking for a title shot for hers to go second. It was just kind of awkward. But this whole show was kind of awkward. Again, this week's SmackDown was not very exciting for me. But next we had AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, and again, another, I think the second week in a row, he looks good in the match, but he's in there with a great performer that, I feel like, not that Baron Corbin did a lot, but man, he sure looked good going against AJ Styles. So um, at least that's 2 good weeks for Baron Corbin. Um, then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attacked them after the match is over. AJ Styles got the win, by the way, but Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn come in and attack, but Baron Corbin actually takes him out. So he actually, I don't know if they were just doing that, like why they would do that, but Baron Corbin took them all out easily. Maybe they're showing that Baron Corbin actually, is a legit guy in this Fatal Five way, that he could be, you know, a guy that could legitimately win. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll kind of see. Again, overall, man, I'm feeling exhausted now. Just SmackDown kind of exhausted me this week because it was not very exciting show this week. But that's it. That's the show. All I all I'm going to do now is let you know some other things that you can do besides wrestling. My suggestion this week, besides watching wrestling, I still have one related to wrestling this week. I listened to Jim Ross' book, The Slobber Knocker: My Life in Wrestling. I highly suggest that. There was a lot of cool things that Jim Ross talked about, behind the scenes stuff that, he was, obviously firsthand witness to a lot of his relationships to, other wrestlers, Vince McMahon. Um, Obviously he was there for all the biggest moments in wrestling and he called all those biggest moments. So he kind of talks about what it was like to be at those specific moments. So it was just a really good book overall. I suggest you go read it or listen to it. I myself had it on Audible, and so I listened to that. Kind of enhance the experience even more just to be hearing his voice telling the story. But yeah, that's my suggestion this week besides wrestling. Can't wait to watch Elimination Chamber on Sunday, which from the time that I'm posting this podcast slash video on YouTube, if either way you're watching it. The Elimination Chamber match is tomorrow, so I'm excited to be watching that. Again, the Elimination Chamber match itself, I have no idea. I cannot, for the life of me, begin to predict who is actually going to win that match. I'm very excited for it. Probably watch that match and then have some sort of instant take late that night afterwards or early the next morning. We'll see how it goes. But then, no matter what, at the end of next week, Friday or Saturday, we'll definitely have a full episode that will cover, Elimination Chamber and everything else that we watched during the week. But again, thank you guys for joining me and Andrea as she joined us earlier for the news. Thank you for sticking with me for the rest of the show. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
That's good stuff.